Hello, hello, hello. What is happening, party people? Welcome to the Inner Conquest YouTube channel, the greatest metaphysics channel in the entire world. So, today's topic is affirmations and states of being, as it generally is, because they're the only things that really matter. When you look at your mental dynamics, right, it's a subsystem of reality. So when you look at reality as a whole, there's an external and then there's an internal. So there's an inverse and an outverse, right? External, internal. When you start your life, the internal is generally programmed by the external because you have something that happens, you see it happen a couple times, you take it in as a truth. When you start to invert that process and start to consciously control the internal in the same way that you would control that external, you will go through a process of losing beliefs. And beliefs are simply thoughts that have been repeated enough to where they have a really dominant fixed frequency. So if you have a belief system that, you always get into traffic, that belief system will prove itself out, right? But initially when that belief system was formed, you just went down a road that had a bunch of cars and you experience traffic enough to where you just keep thinking about being in traffic. So every time at that point in day, your internal thought process on an emotional and a thought level is geared towards focusing on lots of traffic. And while maybe it didn't do that initially, what will happen is that will perpetuate in your reality because of the cyclical and pattern-based nature of consciousness. So when you have these belief systems that get ingrained, there are two things you can do, right? You can create a new belief system, and then you can also ignore it, right? So when you ignore it, what you're doing is you're suffocating the consciousness from that current belief system, which if you think of it as kind of like an entity, will feed on your awareness and your emotions. And then that's why it tries to trigger you, because when you get triggered, that emotional outburst will feed that construct, right? So you pull the information, you pull the awareness away from that and allow it to dissipate, and then you place that onto something that is wanted. That's why when they say what you resist persists, if you fight a construct, you're still giving it what it wants because it wants the energy, so you're feeding the energy into it. So when you go into a new process, the best thing to do is just ignore it and then focus on the new thing, because what will happen is you'll essentially just allow it to die. That's the quote, let the dead bury the dead. Allow the dead to bury the dead and focus on the new thing. Follow your Jacob consciousness, your Jesus Christ consciousness. Do not give validation to the Esau or John the Baptist external reality. Focus on your ideal reality in a fourth dimensional nature, which allows you to energize that construct. And with enough energy and momentum, that will externalize itself, impress the subconscious, and become manifest. So when you go through this process, my personal perspective is that if you can have processes that are innately rewarding, you stick to them, right? So if you think about the dynamic between going to work and playing a video game, right? I love video games. Video games are awesome. You could play a video game for 10 hours a day for no fucking money and come back the next day and do it, right? And it's objective work. You're just doing tasks. Now, when you have work and you get paid for it and you get tangible results and you have to do that for 10 hours, you're like, I would rather die. So why is it that one process is innately more compelling than the other when the reward is substantial and one is non-existent? The reason is because of the micro rewards within a process, right? So if you think of your goal as to shift your state to the state of having and being what you want versus not having and not being what you want, the process, right, when people look at techniques, they're really looking for processes that they want, because every process will work if you have enough conviction in it, because you can energize that construct, externalize it, and make it a truth for you. So when you look at processes, one of the important aspects of a process to consider are the micro rewards that you get from it, right? So one that I like to do is I like to assign imaginary point systems to things. So when I think an unwanted thought, right, you don't judge it. It happens to everybody, right? It's magnetic. You're going to pick up thoughts all the time. So it's not your thought. Don't even worry about it. You get an unwanted thought that's not who you want to be. You get a point for saying, no, I'm not this, I'm this, right? So boom, you're racking up points all day in your head, right? That's going to fixate your mind on a little game. You get a point every single time. What are the points buy you? Fucking nothing. But what happens is you start to put positive associations, much like a dopamine hit that you would get to a video game, with reallocating your attention. So every time you reallocate your attention on what you want, right? And the cool thing is you get to decide what you want. You don't have to play by anybody else's rules. If you have a poverty thought and you want to be rich, you go, no, I can afford anything. I'm always supplied, however you want to phrase that. 80% of your thoughts should be self-based, identity-based. I am this person. I am rich. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am wanted, right? Whatever you want, you put after I am. So anytime you have a thought or emotion that's not good or bad, but not in alignment with the desired reality that you want, you simply put up that block. You say, no, that's not me. But then you don't energize it anymore. You don't fight it. You don't explain why. You just go, I am this, and I like this. And you start listing positive aspects about why you like being the version that you want. That's one point. The words in affirmations are meant to get you into the proper state, because the state is really what manifests, right? State is just a attitude vibrational cloud, right? Words and affirmations are vibrations as well. But when you have a really good mood that is chronic, that's when you're winning. So the goal is to really chronically embody a state that is very in alignment with the actual reality that you want to have manifest in your external reality. What you do is essentially deny, 1 point, refocus, still the same point. Now, if you're a law of attraction, law of assumption guy like I am, right? I think they work really well and complement each other very nicely, because if you get a point for switching to the I am, the goal of the I am is to chronically embody the state, right? So if you think of a state, states can be attitudes, they can be moods, they can be chronic feeling states. Somebody could be a state of depression, it can be a state of anger. You could also be in a state of extreme wealth, right? That's the cool thing. You get to pick a state. You get to customize your character. You get to do whatever you want. But the mechanics are the same. So when you go from a switch from unwanted to wanted, hit it with an easy layup like an affirmation, right? Now, once you start racking up points with the regular affirmation, what you want to do is you want to switch to a generalized mood of that being your reality. So instead of like thinking about specific amounts of wealth, think about a generalized feeling of prosperity, right? When you hold a state or a thought singularly focused upon for 17 seconds, a complementary thought will attach itself to it. So you get a point for switching to the wanted thought. You get 2 points for holding that generalized mood for 17 seconds until another complementary thought comes and attaches itself to it. Because now what you've done is you've held it dominant chronically enough in the state of the wish fulfilled to start to magnetize that state. Now you've got an energetic cloud. If you think of like a big magnetic cloud that's pulling in things that are like it, you've set that base emotional grid foundation for 17 seconds. Now, once you hold that for 17 seconds and you feel another thought, I am wealthy. I am wealthy. 17 seconds. I am wealthy. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I do make a lot of money. That is the complementary thought. That is 2 points. You got 3 points. You're crushing it. So once you get your 3rd point, right, you can either continue in that generalized state, which is recommended for something that takes a little bit of time to really ingrain in your reality. You hold that state. Now you're racking up 2 points all the time. You hold it for another 17 seconds, another 3rd complementary thought. Dude, you're at 5 points now. Bam. You're magnetizing thought after thought after thought after thought after thought. And now you're anchoring that generalized state. Okay. Now, when you hold that state and you have that anchored and you feel confident in it, you can go real specific. Specifics would be if your car keys are in another room. You know they're in the other room. You can hold in your hand, in your imagination, the feeling state of having your car keys in your hand even though they're not physically there. That is a more gross state. Subtle is more flat, it's more light, it's more general. Gross is more finite, pointed, and niche. So when you have a gross state, say I feel my car keys have been chewed on by a dog. I had one too many drinks at my buddy's house, fell asleep, left the car keys on the table, and the dog chewed them up. They still work great, but they have bite marks in my keys, right? It's like a little key fob. So when I want to find my car keys and I'm in a rush, I don't run around like a manic person. I feel in my hand the bite marks in my car keys, and with my fourth dimensional senses, I use my mind to feel what it would feel like to have my car keys in my hand right now, and I affix that state. And I hold that state before I take any action until I feel like it is 100% real that my car keys are in my hand. Like my brain doesn't know the difference between there not being car keys in my hand. Then what will happen 100% of the time is I'll go and I'll immediately look under my bed and I see it, and it's like right by the little bedstand, right? Like somewhere that would have taken me 20 minutes to find if I was looking on a linear, like let's check all the boxes type of place, right? Unwanted thought, switch to wanted thought. Or if you're in a good space, wanted thought, hold wanted thought, 17 seconds, complementary thought, 1 point, 2 point. Now when you hold a more niche state, you apply the same 17-second rule, and you just let it compound, right? And you're not taking physical action, you're using your mind. You're using a true mental approach to life. You're holding that car key 17 seconds. It's a gross state. It's not a generalized, I always get what I want, even though that's really good too, and that will benefit you. Now you're using the tools within your fourth dimensional mindscape to actually physicalize a wanted thing that is very specific, right? That's why you master generalized assumptions, so that you have foundational emotional grids of having what you want, and then you put in the more niche types of specifics that you want. So I hold the car keys, you hold that, and you hold that for 17 seconds, that's 5 points, because that's a real physical, very specific wanted thought that you were able to maintain constant focus of for 17 seconds, and then another thought will come on there, I should check under my bed, right? That's your GPS innate system that you can use to navigate reality through a mental way. And using that point system is really fun, because the goal is not necessarily the manifestations in the beginning. The mastery of the mechanics is the goal. And when you put those positive points on it, you just see how many points you can rack up every day, right? And then what you'll notice is you'll shift so much energy that the physical things will reliably come from those states, that you'll get addicted to that internal game. And like playing video games for 5 hours straight, you'll start to play within those dynamics of affirmation, generalized, and specific states. And that will allow you to literally master your mind on a level to where it is chronic for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want coaching, check out the link tree. There's lots of different options. Other than that, keep conquering. Have a hell of a day.